Hey, all right. This is why I read every single day. There's a couple main reasons. And I mean, I've been reading for a long time. For really the last 10 years, I've been devouring books. Not always on self development, not always on business or specific skills. Like back in the day, I used to read books on like understanding like ancient history and stuff, just because I like to expand my worldview. And so that would be the first reason that I would encourage you to read, whether or not it's even self development books or books on like the most practical stuff, like of course you got to read that stuff. But then occasionally, reading a book on something totally outside your wheelhouse, because what that does is it feeds your mind with a bunch of new information, and then that information comes in, and it allows for, you call it a cross pollination of ideas. So imagine this: if you're learning about, let's say, ancient Rome, and then but also you're like working on making more money nowadays in 2023, and you're hearing about like AI and all these developments. Well, what could you possibly learn from ancient Rome? Well, you'll amaze yourself because you'll start to hear about like trends in society and how like the culture is changing, or like different people trying to rise for power and fight for power. And you'll see that that's happening nowadays too. So you'll get different ideas for how you can apply that. Okay? So that's one reason. Another reason is books have extremely high information density. What that means is, like, imagine you're just consuming some YouTube video, like listening to me, or whatever else you listen to, right? Or a podcast, or you're watching TikTok videos. It's like there's a certain amount of time that was spent developing the ideas that then go into that piece of content. So if you look at a book, it on average has the highest information density. I mean, some of the books out there nowadays are just trash. I mean, I'd say actually most of them are, because now anyone can self-publish and you can have ChatGPT write some, catchy sounding book for you. But if you know how to find the right types of books, and you can message me and I'll send you some of the books, the best books I've ever read. And when you're learning in that capacity, it's like each line of information, each sentence means something. It's like that author went through sometimes years, even decades of a process to assemble all the information to then be able to distill it down, synthesize it into a book. Now you can read that in each sentence. I mean, one sentence in a book can change your entire life, which is really cool, especially when you know how to read. I was shocked because for 6 years, I was reading like religiously, you could say, like very passionately, we'll put it like that. I didn't even realize that I didn't really know how to read. Here's the example that I can best equate that to. Imagine you are getting in a pool and you're about to swim laps, right? And then someone gets in the pool next to you and you're like, hey, let's compete, right? And it's Michael Phelps, the freaking 8-time gold medal winner. And he looks at you, he's like, hey, buddy, you know how to swim, right? And I'm like, yeah, I can swim. He just laughs and then crushes me in the swimming. That's what reading is, but like you to the greats. So, like Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, these guys who are voracious readers. When you sit down and you say, yeah, I read, I love to learn, man. And then you try and sit down and read a book compared to Warren Buffett reading a book. He would laugh in your face because you can't read. Now, it's a skill you can develop, and if you want to know skills and how you can develop your reading, just message me and just ask me about like this part of the video about developing reading ability. But nonetheless, you got to start somewhere, right? So if you're swimming in the shallow end, or you're just trying to read books, sure, there's going to be some good stuff in this video. All right. So here's a couple other reasons why I read every day. I was reading the Jeff Bezos book. I think there's a new one out, but I was reading. I think it's called it's The Everything Store by Brad Stone. And he explains how Bezos, in the early days of building Amazon, would walk around with a copy of Made in America by Sam Walton, the guy who created Walmart. And it was like beat up, like the book he had read it, hundreds of times, pen in it, earmarked, all that, and it's like a falling apart book. But he used that as his guide, and I love reading books because you learn about other books through it. And I mean, reading Made in America for me, for example, it was fascinating because they explained how I think it was at 7 years in, it was either 4 years in or 7 years in, after they had the first two Walmart stores. Okay, because Walmart is this empire. I was watching a video last night, and the Walton family is the third richest family in the world, publicly. At least that's how they rank it. So how did he build the empire? Well, he's talking about how like 4 years in, they had their second store, and then guess what happened? A tornado came through and destroyed their second store. mean, imagine that. And some of you have just started a business, or some of you had just started a project, and you're 4 weeks in or 4 months in. And you're like, why isn't it working yet? Imagine being 4 years in, you're still not even profitable, and then a tornado comes in and destroys it. But like having that depth of vision. So that one little story from that one book completely helped me in looking at legacy and that process of like building something real. So that's another reason. Another reason though, I have many reasons that I read all the time, is just for sheer content. Like I want to know a skill, I want to learn a skill, like the money-making skills that move the needle forward. And I will find books and I will hunt through them for the gold and I will read and underline them and then I will apply it. And that's also awesome. But here's one last thing that I think a lot of people overlook because they don't really understand how the subconscious mind works and the conscious mind works. Another reason that I read every day is because when you are just consciously focused on your business or your life or your passion or your projects or whatever you're working on, you can tend to go into doubt, especially if you were not raised in the elite class. So we've been programmed with doubt, from movies to television to books we've read to stories we've heard to our parents and all that. And we're programmed to slightly doubt ourselves. So it's a process. I mean, to actually remove that doubt, you need specific tools and a specific process for that. Because, I mean, what would it be worth to you to remove all doubt from your life? You know, I mean, can you even put a monetary amount on it? I mean, billions of dollars, like to actually remove doubt. Yet, in your journey of removing doubt, this is what I found books to also be helpful with is if you're working through some problem in your mind and you're working on coming up with a solution, but you just can't see it right now, aside from like, you know, having a self-development process and going outside, going on walks, like changing your patterns, reading a book allows your conscious mind to be preoccupied. So then your subconscious mind can actually release the problem and it will go to work, essentially, fulfilling what it's programmed for. So if you are programmed for success, your subconscious mind will go to work and then create that outcome so you get new ideas in those aha moments. If your subconscious mind is not programmed for success, well, you'll get kind of mediocre ideas and you'll probably stay stuck. But I'm sharing this with you because you can use reading strategically throughout the day to occupy your mind and learn, and that's great. But it helps you focus and allows your deeper level of your mind and how that all works to then present new ideas and new solutions to you, which is really, really cool. So anyway, hope you got something out of this video. If you like this, I got a bunch of other good stuff on my YouTube. And if you want to actually really learn how to like get way better at reading and processing information, because I mean, we're beyond the age of information now. This is the age of wisdom. The people who will rise to the top are the people who can apply that information and actually make something real of it. That's what I would call wisdom. So yeah, if you want to stay ahead, great. Also, one last thing, I have to say this. This is a bonus because you stayed to the end. If you are thinking that these freaking people who write stuff about how they think ChatGPT is so great, then they'll be like, yeah, I just use ChatGPT to say, give me a book summary of, let's say, Made in America by Sam Walton. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to get a little shit version of the top bullet points of the book, and you're going to miss the whole thing. You're going to miss the whole thing. Because it's in actually being able to read, actually sitting with each part of the book, actually reading the stories, actually seeking to understand, and then applying it. That's how you read. The shortcut of using ChatGPT or Blinkist or these other things that summarize the books for you is just garbage. I mean, sure, you could read a book summary if you want to kind of know what it's about, but then don't dupe yourself into thinking that that's actually reading. Like, that's idiotic. And the world is getting dumbed down right now. So that's why I'm making this video, because I'm actively working along with 200 other people to really create a better world. Like Frontlines, building it every day. So that my son, and if you have kids, and all of us, can have a way better world where people are actually smart, and we can then create stuff way beyond anything we've seen so far. So like the best books are yet to come, the best insights are yet to come, the best wisdom is yet to come. But I work on it every day, and a key part of that is me reading every day. So I hope you got some value from this. All right, see you.